You're in the office, baby. Going up.
I want the fortune, motherfucker fine. I want the Bentley, motherfucker right. God please forgive me, this shit I'ma kill. This shit from my soul, this shit from my spirit. Can't go nowhere if you ain't got no vision. Can't go nowhere if you don't know the distance. Fresh hair, Sunday school, class Christian. Fresh hair, Sunday school, fight with me. False new crock.
What you tried to do, you couldn't destroy me. I'm still standing. I'm still strong.
It's a new day, people. It's the dawn of the seven.
What's going on, YouTube? We back in the Low Key Cave, Keyshawn Knobs YouTube page, aka Mr. Low Key, and we are back with another TV show review, and we back with The Boys, Season 3, Episode 4, Glorious 5-Year Plan review. We started this episode out pretty much with the boys on their mission on their way to Russia, trying to find the weapon that they feel like could possibly kill Homelander. Another thing starting off with this episode is Mother Milk, man. He has it, man. He got it bad for Soldier Boy. No matter what it is, no matter old commercials, no matter just his whole thing this season is how he's feeling and what he's feeling for the revenge he has for Soldier Boy. Because we get a couple little flashbacks, nothing real heavy, but just some flashbacks of Mother Milk with his family. And I guess the little commercial come across with Soldier Boy, and you know Soldier Boy is supposed to have something to do with his family being killed or whatever. So it's really interesting just seeing how much hate Mother Milk has for Soldier Boy. Mother Milk really has a pivotal, I feel like he's always been a heart of the show to me, as far as just even being, as far as the boys or whatever, as far as the group or whatever. But it really goes into detail in this episode, especially even with him and the Butcher having a certain moment where they're talking or whatever, and you can see like Mother Milk is the guy that pretty much holds everything together and tries to pretty much, when the Butcher's pretty much going over the top or going over the edge or whatever, he's the one to come in, because the Butcher talked to everybody else crazy or whatever, even Kamiko. You know, Kamiko can kill his ass on sight, but he will not come at Mother Milk like that, and it really kind of explains their relationship specifically in this episode, and I really like the exchange that they have. Another thing we're getting into, of course, is Homelander. He's pretty much still taking his stance as far as what he said last episode, and he's taking it a whole lot farther in this episode, to a point where Stan pretty much wants Victoria to pretty much make some type of statement about Homelander, pretty much so he can stay in his place, so he can know who's above him. But like I said, Homelander, especially this season, he's getting more and more unhinged, but not only unhinged, he's coming to more of himself. He's saying, yo, I feel like people are going to accept me for who I am. So he's kind of getting into his head that he doesn't need anybody over him. He doesn't need anybody's trying to seem like to control him. And Stan has always mainly been the one that he's kind of intimidated by. And in this episode, he pretty much puts his power to use. Not even his physical power, but just his intimidation as far as Homelander. And his intimidation over everybody pretty much leads to Victoria pretty much betraying Stan. But she has her reasons, including her daughter or whatever, and even Stan not really mad at her or anything. I still feel like Homelander is still intimidated by Stan. It's just this exchange they have after everything pretty much goes down, where Victoria pretty much betrays Stan or whatever. And it's Homelander having this exchange with Stan, and Stan hitting his ass with them bars, still talking shit to him, telling the man he a bad product. And I was just waiting. I was like, this nigga Homelander is about to laser vision his ass. He about to throw him out the window. Stan is gone. This is it. But once again, he didn't do anything. He was just Stanley talking, doing what he do as far as Homelander, pretty much wanting to make Stan feel like down a little bit, but Stan was still holding his ground, and Stan wasn't really like mad or upset or anything. And I think that's what Homelander wanted to see. He wanted to see basically Stan pretty much break, but he didn't. And Stan was pretty much telling him, now that I'm out, you don't have nobody to come in and pretty much watch over you. You don't have nobody to come in and pretty much, when incidents happen with Homelander, to come in and have those situations covered, or have somebody to come in and pretty much explain those situations or get you out of those situations. But like I said, with Homelander, his whole thing is being in control, and now he's pretty much in control of Vault now. So it's interesting to see where this gonna go moving forward. You get kind of what Victoria is doing and why she's doing it, because it's another scene with her and her daughter towards the end of the episode where she's pretty much injecting her with Compound V. So it's almost like she's preparing herself for some type of defense mechanism against Homelander. And being with everything that's done went down with him, now it's even more of a strain for her to pretty much keep her defenses up or whatever. I wonder, can she do her exploding shit with Homelander though? I don't seem like she tried. I don't know, but maybe she has something else into play. It all depends. Will Stan still be in this season, or will he pretty much go out of this season and possibly come back for season 4? Because I still think he has something up his sleeve. I very much believe he still got something up his sleeve. And it's going to be interesting, though, to see where they go with this. If Stan is going to be still in the final, in the next couple episodes, or if he not going to be in these next couple episodes, because with everything that happened in this episode, he pretty much is going to be on leave now. So I wonder if his character is not going to be in the season now, well, in the rest of the season, or is he going to make some big surprise in the season finale or something, coming back and making some big entrance or whatever. But you don't know. But yeah, man, Homelander's pretty much making his moves this episode, letting everybody know that he's in charge. It's interesting too, you got my man A-Train pretty much on his social justice movement or whatever. He's trying to bring the whole thing as far as Blue Hawk, policing black neighborhoods, and he's trying to bring that to the Seven's attention. But you got the Deep pretty much coming in, being schooled and being taught by his girlfriend pretty much, because she wants the Deep pretty much in the forefront with Homelander. Pretty much she want him to be the co-captain and pretty much just get him back in the fold of things since he's been on the outs or whatever. So A-Train and the Deep pretty much having an exchange in here is kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like this is like I'm like everybody like A-Train, where this shit come from, man? And this nigga, ooh, A-Train, man. I'm gonna get to it, but between what A-Train is trying to do in his whole little movie, because they do this little satire, well, parody of the commercial as far as the Pepsi commercial with I think it was Kylie Jenner. It was one of the Kardashians or whatever that did the Pepsi commercial when they was doing the riots or whatever. They even have mentionings if the Black Lives Movement and all of that, like they talking and speaking on the whole social injustice thing, and they kind of touched on that in those first 3 episodes as far as when they premiered or whatever. But yeah, we got A-Train's little subplot and what he's trying to do, and the exchange between him and the Deep, and basically him trying to make sure he's back in the fold, not only with the Seven and Homelander, but everything that's been going on with him, and I guess something as far as affecting his whole power, whatever, his speed or whatever. So now he's trying to get back in the fold or whatever. He does some shady ass shit towards the end of this episode, and it's really fucked up, man. But I'm gonna get to that. Besides that, like I said, our main group, as far as the boys, they're on their way to Russia to pretty much try to find the weapon to they feel like they can kill Homelander or whatever. And they're using the person that Frenchie pretty much is in cahoots with as far as this Russian girl or whatever. But the whole thing about it is, before she's going to get them the full information on where they can find this weapon or whatever in Russia, she pretty much wants them to do a hit or whatever. And that's where you bring in Kamiko, pretty much wanting to use her for the hit or whatever as far as the Butcher. And the Butcher, man, I mean, he's pretty much, I ain't gonna say on demon time, but he's being an asshole this episode. But that's where you kind of come in with the whole exchange between him and Mother Milk, because it's the way he's talking to Kamiko and Frenchie. Frenchie, man, it's like lapdog. Like, everybody's just pulling Frenchie along here and there, whatever, telling him, go do this, go do that. And you can see how it's affected him, and to the point where you can kind of feel like, well, not feel like, but you see it with him and Kamiko, because after Kamiko ended up doing what she's doing, and I'm going to get to that, it's a really, really good action set piece with Kamiko and the Russian bodyguards or whatever, involving dildos. But anyway, crazy. This episode and dildos was like over the top with it. But French and Kamiko, pretty much after she does what she does, they pretty much are talking about basically leaving, going to do their own thing after they pretty much help the Butcher and Huey and them, as far as the boys or whatever, do what they trying to do as far as against Homelander and find this weapon or whatever. But they're pretty much talking about getting away and doing their own thing or whatever. But as far as Kamiko go, and what the Butcher and the Russians pretty much, well, really the Butcher is trying to send her on to do this hit or whatever, it's a really good action set piece, man. You talking about just, I feel like those first 3 episodes didn't really give us a lot of action or whatever. We got a couple things here and there. But with this one, shit was on that John Wick shit. I mean, I'm talking about just the slick moves Kamiko was doing or whatever. It was a really, really good scene, man. It was a really good fighting hand-to-hand fighting scene or whatever with Kamiko. Her movements. It didn't really feel like the camera was cutting away from what she was doing. You could see everything. She was killing and whooping people ass with dildos, bro. Made out of the 7. The group to 7. Dildos pretty much, imagine by the looks of, just she was whooping people ass with dildos. Just that's what you need to know. And the dildos was pretty much representing the 7 as far as Homelander, Black Noir, and the Deep and all of them. So it was a funny, but it was a good action scene. But not only that, Kamiko is coming around some type of reveal as far as her, the way she's feeling about killing, I think. Because one of the people, as far as the people she's killing in this group of Russians she's killing, they have a bunch of Russian, Russian prostitutes in there or whatever. So one of the Russian prostitutes end up shooting Kamiko in the head or whatever. But out of fear, they basically scared. They don't know what the fuck is going on. They've been in there sniffing, blowing, whatever. So they don't really know what's going on. They scared or whatever. And after they shoot her in the head, you know, Kamiko has healing abilities. She's basically Wolverine as far as the boys go. And it's just that scene in particular where it seems like she's just kind of like looking around and everything that's going on, and the fact that the butcher, the way he even talked to her, basically calling her, she's basically a weapon, basically. And I think she's not only looking at it as far as the fact that all the killing or whatever, I think she's looking at herself as like, am I just this weapon everybody wants to use or whatever? I think, and that's another thing that comes into play with her and Frenchie and they whole exchange. So it's going to be interesting, but I don't know how they're going to play this out because something ends up happening towards the end of this episode. And that's where we get to the whole mission as far as after Kamiko does what she does, we finally get the information that the butcher and the boys are trying to get. The other thing is, though, Huey. Before I get to that, Huey's pretty much feeling humiliated. I mean, he's been feeling like this for a while now. You know, everything that's been going on with him and the fact that he feels like his girlfriend, as far as Starlight, has to come in for certain situations that happen to pretty much get him out of, or pretty much feels like she's the man of the relationship. It's just situations where he feels powerless, and the fact that he has a girlfriend that seems more powerful than him. I mean, she is a soup or whatever, so he had to understand that. But it's really the points where we get with the scenes between Homelander and Starlight, because you know they had this whole play going on where Starlight and Homelander are together, and they have the hashtag Homelight, I think. But you know, it's basically this whole play because this is Huey's idea, remember? Basically telling Starlight to play the role and play the position while they try to do what they do to find this thing that could possibly kill Homelander or whatever. So it's a scene between Homelander, Starlight, and Huey. And Homelander, being who he is, man, like, once again, when you see this nigga come up, it gets, especially in this season, it's scary. You ain't even laughing with him. He doing what he doing. He being playful and shit or whatever. But he makes these certain references about, you know, Starlight, thinking about certain things he's done with Queen Mav or whatever. So you have this whole exchange between them and basically seeming like he about to goddamn, and then you know he's not gonna kill Huey, but it's just the fact that the way and how crazy and just how unhinged Homelander is. So you don't know what he's gonna do. It's just like the scene in particular with Homelander when Ashley comes up to him. You know, Ashley, basically, you know, the assistant or whatever, and that's before Victoria's about to do her whole speech or whatever, talking about Homelander. And you got this scene in particular where Homelander done sent all the group out the room or whatever. Ashley's mentioning this to him. And he tell her to basically like, come up here right quick. I was just saying, oh my God, I know this nigga ain't about to do something to Ashley. Please leave her alone, please. But it's just that whole exchange between them. But like I said, Homelander is so unhinged this season. You don't know what he's going to be doing. You don't know what he's capable of. Going from that, we get to a scene with Queen Mav training. And you pretty much have Starlight coming in pretty much trying to talk to her, because Queen Mav has pretty much set this whole thing into play anyway, as far as giving the whole thing to the butcher or whatever for him to make his move, as far as the whole connection to the Russia, Soldier Boy and all of that, so they can go after this weapon or whatever. But she's basically training, as far as Queen Mav, to try to somewhat, I guess, distract Homelander or whatever, just basically so they can get the weapon prepared to try to shoot him or whatever they're trying to do to him, basically trying to catch his attention, whatever. And Starlight's thing is like, you're gonna need more help. Because, you know, Homeland is Homelander. Like, it's going to be a quick, easy, and over and done if it's just you. So they're basically trying to come up with a plan to get more suits, I would think, together just to slow Homelander down. Because this nigga is essentially Superman. How do you stop Superman? Because the thing about The Boys is, we ain't essentially got nothing like a reference to some kryptonite or some shit like that. Something that's a weakness to Homelander. We really haven't got there yet. But maybe that's where Soldier Boy is coming in at. So we have this whole thing, and it's basically a build-up trying to see who, and this season is kind of a build-up of possibly being able to stop Homelander. But the shit go left. I'm telling you, especially after Starlight talks to Supersonic about joining her to try to help Queen Mav and what they're trying to do to Homelander or whatever, and he pretty much is down. It's just when he ends up mentioning it to A-Train. And this is after the whole thing happened between A-Train and the Deep, and they get into it, whatever, and he feels humiliated again, especially by Homelander, whatever. I can't get my words out. But yeah, Supersonic basically is trying to bring A-Train in on everything, especially after the exchange he just had with the Deep and seeing how he's being treated by Homelander. But that shit goes AWOL, being that A-Train bitch ass end up telling Homelander everything that's going on. And I think this really comes into play after seeing what happens with Stan, because they're watching this play out on TV when Victoria ends up betraying Stan or whatever, and it's pretty much Homelander's whole play or whatever after he heard everything from Ashley or whatever. So that's pretty much why I feel like everything came into play with A-Train, pretty much coming with the idea like, man, this nigga's he's basically unstoppable now. It's one thing that he's the leader of us, and you know, the Seven, whether he's one of the most powerful beings in the world, but now he's pretty much in charge of the company that we are working for. So now that's pretty much where A-Train, I think, is coming from. So he pretty much outs everybody, including Supersonic, and it's the end, man, where you got Supersonic looking like ground beef. Homelander kills Supersonic, and it was a shock. It was a surprise. I didn't see that coming, just like I didn't see the whole thing with A-Train doing what he's doing, especially with him and his whole movement trying to bring in social injustice and everything. So I did not see those two things coming. But once again, this is seeing how much Homelander is intimidating, especially in this season, seeing how unhinged he is and not knowing exactly what he's going to do when he does it. So that's a very, very, very messed up scene, man. They ain't like, the nigga Supersonic did not have no face or nothing. His body was mush, pretty much. And it's a whole thing with pretty much Homelander taking Starlight to see this, letting Starlight know and putting more intimidation into Starlight, pretty much letting her know, like, if he even gets a hint of somebody trying to come up with some plan or trying to do anything to go against him as far as Homelander, he's going to do Huey the same way, as far as what he did to Supersonic, man. But going from there, well, a little bit before that, we have the whole mission going down, and we pretty much have another good action sequence with the Russians coming in, pretty much trying to fight Butcher and them and the boys or whatever, because they had this whole shit with a hamster or something they come across, and it pretty much sets off an alarm, because it's pretty much a laboratory where they experimenting on shit, and they pretty much been experimenting on this hamster who pretty much sets the alarms off. But it's a pretty good action scene, and it's a revealing scene, because everybody doesn't know the Butcher's been taking Compound V or whatever, especially, you know, essentially Mother Milk, one of the closest people to the Butcher or whatever. Huey knows, because Huey's wanting to take the shit because of everything, as far as feeling humiliated, especially by everything he's had to deal with Homeland or whatever. So you have this big ass action sequences, and they pretty much are getting outnumbered and outgunned. So Butcher has to come out and use his powers, and it's pretty much a reveal and a surprise to Mother Milk and them, and he pretty much slaughtering all these Russian gunners and bodyguards or whatever. But the real surprise, and not only to the group, but to us as an audience, Huey has took Compound V24, whatever, and out of nowhere, it's a scene where Mother Milk is pretty much about to get shot. Huey ends up turning invisible and killing one of the Russian bodyguards, to a surprise of not only us, but to the group, because he pretty much snuck in and pretty much took the Compound 24V, which ends up making his arm heal too. So another surprise, because we getting all of this hit, all of this is coming all at once. As far as this, just the end of this episode, we end up coming to this big ass tank or whatever, and we seen the trailers or whatever, and I knew what they was about to hint, where they was getting to, and it's pretty much the reveal that Soldier Boy is alive. The weapon that they've been looking for ain't essentially a weapon. Soldier Boy is essentially the weapon. So he comes out not saying shit, and pretty much he got some type of blast or whatever, and I didn't even know this. I'm thinking like, he's basically Super Soldier, and I'm telling you, this scene is straight up Captain America, the Winter Soldier. You talking about this nigga is essentially coming out of this hyperbolic timetable. He's the Winter Soldier. I mean, scene to scene, the whole everything is pretty much Winter Soldier as far as Captain America, whatever, MCU. But yeah, when he comes out, he does this some type of blast shit with his chest or whatever, essentially knocking Kamiko out. Because who was standing there? I think it was Butcher or Huey. Somebody's standing there, and she ends up pushing him out the way, and the blast coming from Soldier Boy ends up hitting Kamiko. And Kamiko is basically Logan. She can heal or whatever, but she ends up not healing. And this is pretty much like a cliffhanger, not knowing what's essentially going to happen with Kamiko, if she's going to make it, whatever, because she ends up not healing. But that also is a reveal telling you that Soldier Boy possibly is the one who can kill Homelander, being that whatever this blast is coming from pretty much is essentially his powers or whatever. But I'm not even sure he had that power before, because it looks like the Russians have basically been doing like special operations, not even operations, but experimenting. That's the word I was trying to find or whatever. But it looks like they basically been experimenting on him or whatever. So looks like they added that shit to him or whatever. I'm just looking forward to whatever's gonna happen next, because like I said, once again, to me, I think a lot of people are looking forward to the Butcher and Homelander fight, especially with the Butcher being on Compound 24, whatever. Me personally, I want to see that too, but I'm also looking forward to this whole exchange between Soldier Boy and Homelander. I want to see how that's going to play out, and I'm glad we essentially are now getting Soldier Boy into the season instead of flashbacks or whatever. So it's going to be interesting. So once again, shout out to my boy Jensen Ackles. I think that's the actor's name or whatever, but I'm a Supernatural fan. So shout out to my boy Dean coming into the season, coming into this episode or whatever. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this plays out with Soldier Boy being into the modern day now. But not only that, how is Mother Milk going to handle this? Because it looks like Mother Milk has pretty much had it up to here with Butcher, especially with the whole reveal that the Butcher's been taking Compound V. Mother Milk, besides everything else going on, his whole mission, and he feels like their mission is to prevent people that go against the whole thing of people being on Compound V, especially with the soups or whatever. So you can see that he's pretty much had it up to here with Butcher and everything that's going on, and it's a scene at the end with them trying to basically get Kamiko together or whatever, and it's a look that he gives the Butcher, and it's basically what he says to the Butcher, saying he can't put up with his shit no more, and it's essentially saying the Mother Milk is done or whatever. So we're gonna see, especially if Kamiko ends up with, I don't think she's gonna die, I don't think she's gonna be dead or whatever, but she might be in some type of coma or something. It all depends or whatever. But it's definitely going to be interesting moving forward, seeing how all this plays out, being that everybody now can see that not only the Butcher has been taking Compound 24, but Huey. And I like what Mother Milk says to Huey. It's almost like this big brother talking to his little brother, and he's like, you better than this, kid. Oh man, I love Mother Milk, and I hope he don't die, man. I feel like they kind of building towards Mother Milk. Somebody I feel like essentially is going to die this season as far as the main group of the boys. I feel like somebody is going to go. But I hope it's not Mother Milk. I do hope it's not Mother Milk. It might be, like Kamiko might be our first casualty as far as the boys. But yeah, man, I really like this episode. This was definitely a standout episode. It's going to be interesting moving forward. I'm very, very curious about Victoria, man, and what she did. Well, her injecting her daughter with Compound V, and essentially what type of powers her daughter will have. But not only that, what is her essential plan or whatever, because I feel like it's definitely more to it than that. And even Stan, like I said, Stan to me is coming off as proud of her. He likes the moves she's made, because he feel like that would have been a move that he would have made, even coming from his mouth, saying the words that she is more of me than I ever thought she was. So it's definitely interesting to see what Victoria has up her sleeve. She might even be coming up with her own plan to stop Homelander or whatever. But essentially, The Boys Season 3 is all around stopping Homelander. This is really the season, is stopping Homelander. Because we've seen everything they've tried to do, essentially just stopping Supes altogether. But it's really stopping Homelander to me this season. Overall, like I said, man, I'm really interested to see where they're going to go next, especially with Soldier Boy being out. But y'all, let me know, how did y'all feel about this recent episode of The Boys, Season 3, Episode 4, 5 years of a good plan? I think that's what it's called. But y'all let me know essentially how y'all felt about this recent episode, especially with Soldier Boy being out on these streets now. Soldier Boy is outside. Let's go. let me know. Make sure you hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. This is the road to 600 subs. Shout out to all my newer subscribers and everybody who's been subscribing to the channel and checking out the content. I do appreciate y'all. Make sure you hit that notification bell, let you know when I upload new videos. Other than that, man, yeah.
So I went out there broke. I wasn't even thinking about acting. I was just thinking about surviving. But such is life. I ended up doing it what I love the most. I ended up doing both of those things.